YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and today I got the 2019 fan-voted NFL mock draft. You guys voted for all these picks on our Twitter. We did this last year, did it again this year, so a lot of fun. So we'll see what you guys picked for each team, and I'll kind of break it down, see if it's realistic, see if I like the pick. And we got plenty more NFL draft content on the way and already on the channel. I just did a recent regular mock draft where I predict the pick, and plenty more of those to come. We're going to be live during the NFL draft as well. April 25th is day one of the draft. It starts at 7 p.m. Central, but our live stream starts 30 minutes earlier, and we will have live predictions, analysis, and reactions during that draft. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys can join us. Subscriber goal is at 20K. Please help us get there. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet, clicking the like button, notification button, much appreciated as well. We'll go 8 picks at a time like our normal mock drafts. And this is what you guys voted. Maybe some of you didn't vote on these. So I'm sorry if you missed out on that, but I want to make it clear this is not my predict the pick mock. And we had voting for the 4 teams that don't have first round picks. We'll get to them at the end. So a lot to get through here. So you guys had Nick Bosa going to the Cardinals, the edge rusher from Ohio State. So obviously the Cardinals was the first voting of the voting, and maybe it was a little before the Kyler Murray thing was a real shot at being the first pick, Kyler Murray. So I think maybe now it'd be a little different, but you guys picked Nick Bosa. I know there's a lot of Cardinals fans out there that still don't think Kyler Murray's the first pick and they don't want it to be. So I understand that. You just took a first round quarterback that has a bunch of potential, even though he struggled last year in Rosen. I'm a believer in Rosen, so I'm going to do a mock draft, before the draft hits on, what I would do. And I don't know if I would take Kyler Murray. I understand the pick, but he's not my number one player. I don't think I would take somebody that's not my number one player with the first overall pick. But you guys went with Nick Bosa. That's what you voted for. He's kind of known as the best player in the draft. So I understand why you went with that. He would start right away opposite of Chandler Jones, and they have Terrell Suggs as rotation. Makes sense. Niners go with Josh Allen. It was a little surprising, Josh Allen over Quinnen Williams to me. But, Josh Allen could fit opposite of D Ford, maybe somewhat similar to D Ford. They came out and said they want to run more of the Leo, so D Ford off the ball, and the opposite side with a guy on the ball. Josh Allen could be on the ball for sure, could have a hand in the dirt, but better off maybe the similar position what D Ford runs. But I've said the Niners have a bunch of players that really fit a 3-4. Guys like Solomon Thomas, Buckner, they should be 3-4 ends. Buckner can have success in either defense. Obviously, we've seen that. So maybe that's just all smoke. Maybe they do like Josh Allen. Maybe they're going to go with the 3-4. The 2 outside backers would be Allen and D Ford. Pretty scary. So I would like the pick, but it wouldn't really confuse me. But, I think if Bosa's gone, it definitely wouldn't confuse me. So we'll see what happens here. The Jets go Quinnen Williams, too good to pass. Maybe they need a pass rusher a little more, but Quinnen Williams, the obvious pick there. So I agree with that one in this specific scenario. 4th pick, the Raiders, Ed Oliver. They need a pass rusher more than a defensive lineman. I would probably go Montez Sweat in this scenario, but Ed Oliver, very good. Tons of upside as well. Not a whole bunch of production at Houston. Did sit out for some injuries too, but you can see, Aaron Donald-like, not quite Aaron Donald, obviously. So I'm imagining more than just Raiders fans voted on this, but for the most part, Raiders fans got to be excited about the upside of Ed Oliver. The Buccaneers, you guys picked Jonah Williams, offensive lineman, Alabama. Around this time and a little earlier, Jonah Williams was like always in top 10, top 8 of mock drafts. Kind of slid back, maybe because, it's understandable why he kind of didn't get as much talk now that we look at it, is because this is about the time, Combine Pro Day, where the flashy athletic guys stand out more and they start moving up. So maybe Jonah Williams is really going in the top 10 or this area because, the media is just focused on, the guy that are risers. And why are they risers? Because like I just said, they tested very well at the Combine or Pro Day. So don't forget about the offensive linemen. So Jonah Williams, maybe a little early still though for the 5th overall pick, but I think it's somewhat realistic. I'm more of a fan of Jawan Taylor maybe in this situation if you're going to go offensive line, but I still, it would be maybe a little bit surprised to maybe most people, the media, just because what the media is feeding us right now, but kind of go backwards a little bit and realize that this is a realistic possibility. The Giants, you guys went with Dwayne Haskins, and that was kind of the pretty much every mock, Haskins instead of Giants, and then maybe some smoke's getting out there. There's Rosen trade possibilities. Maybe they can, they like Daniel Jones with the later pick. Maybe there's some rumors that they like Drew Lock with this pick or the later pick, the later first-round pick. They like Jawan Taylor, Devin White, a pass rusher, one of the picks. All kinds of possibilities with the Giants, but kind of going backwards and figuring it before the smoke happened, this was the realistic pick. That's kind of how the draft used to always go, pretty much every single year. We see the obvious pick and what it's most likely going to be, and then a bunch of smoke changes everyone's pick, and it ends up being that original pick. But last year was a little different, and what we thought was smoke, because it happens every year right before the draft, and actually ended up being true, a lot of it. Example would be Baker Mayfield first overall. The day before and the day of is when we're hearing about Baker Mayfield first overall. I wasn't buying it, because look at every single other draft, that's 100% smoke, and end up not being. So it's not only is it a different league on the field, maybe off the field too. So back to Dwayne Haskins for the Giants. I could see it maybe a little early, but he is a quarterback. So him being a quarterback, I guess, makes it not that early, because you do have to, I understand you have to overdraft the quarterbacks. And then 7, the Jags go DK Metcalf. This is right after the combine. Everyone was hyped up about DK Metcalf, and there's still a lot of reasons to be hyped up about him. So the Jags are lacking this style of receiver, so that's definitely what they need. So I would be okay with the pick. There is some concerns because he was hurt, and his ability, his route tree. Can he run the inside routes? I think he can, but it's a little bit of a risk there. But this is the type of receiver the Jags need, and he's like the prime example of the outside, big body receiver. So it would make sense. Lions go Montez Sweat at 8. They did get Trey Flowers, but they can still go Sweat. Tons of upside. You can't pass on a guy like this. Trey Flowers, even though I like the signing, even though it's a lot of money, he's not a guaranteed thing. He hasn't had too many years with as good as it was last year. So, you can go Sweat, and he's a guy that can be on the ball, off the ball. Patricia has kind of a hybrid defense, so it could still work, but most recent mocks are saying maybe not pass rusher, maybe linebacker, maybe corner, maybe a little too early for corner, possibly Hawkinson, the tight end. But you guys went with Sweat. I like it. Next 8 picks, you guys had the Bills taking Jawan Taylor. I would love this pick, even though they filled out some of those needs on the O-line and other spots in free agency, Jawan Taylor is a plug-and-play right tackle. You get better. You protect Josh Allen guaranteed there on the right side. I like Jawan Taylor a lot. The Broncos get Devin White. This has got to be the very latest he'll go, and I agree with you guys. If he's here in the scenario, the Broncos would take him. Vic Fangio would need this guy. He got Roquan last year on the Bears. Devin White is a very similar style linebacker to Roquan. Roquan a little safer, White with maybe a little more upside. The Bengals, Kyler Murray. So Kyler Murray doesn't go 1. This is what happens if he doesn't go 1. Do the Giants, is he a Gettleman type guy? I don't think so. Maybe the Raiders. Some people are convinced the Raiders will take a quarterback. I'm not really so sure about that. I think they like Derek Carr, but maybe they'll be tempted. Maybe another team trades up. But if Murray doesn't actually go 1, if that's a load of BS we've been fed about Murray going 1 in the Cardinals, this is actually realistic. So the fan vote and mock draft gives us a different perspective that is realistic, because you never know what the smoke of the NFL draft, even though I do believe Murray is the first pick. The Packers go Brian Burns, edge rusher from Florida State. That's their type of outside linebacker for sure. I mean, he can play 4-3-M, but he would fit this a little better. And for the Packers defense, they did get Zadarius Smith. They did get Preston Smith. Those guys, I like the signings a lot, but they're really not guaranteed. 2 guys that haven't had too many great years, but last year very solid for Zadarius Smith, and Preston Smith can stop the run at a high level for an outside linebacker. So get a guy with a high ceiling, maybe need some time to be a rotation guy before actually, stepping up and being big time. It reminds me of Harold Landry. Some of the similar traits. Landry's going to have more weight to him, more size to him, but reminds me of that a little bit. Landry, huge upside, but maybe needed to be a rotation guy first, even though I was high on Landry. I would have started him right away. And that's what he did, and we know that Landry's going to break out. So I think Burns could be the similar situation. Maybe rotate behind Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, and then the future start outside linebacker for the Packers. Makes sense there. The Dolphins go with Drew Lock, quarterback, Missouri. I would like this pick. Too good to pass at this point if he's still on the board. I think he goes earlier in this. It's really hard to say where. Really any of the quarterbacks, the last several years, the picks that were used for quarterbacks were traded for. I think except for the last several years, I think it was minus Winston and Mariota. I think those two to the Bucs and the Titans stood still at those picks. Those weren't traded for, but every single other quarterback taken, those picks were traded for. So impossible to predict where the quarterbacks will go and what number pick they will be. We have an idea of the teams, but what number, but no trades in this. If he's there, Dolphins got to take him. I agree. I think Locke's got big play potential. 14, the Falcons go Rashawn Gary, D-line, Michigan. Some consider him a pass rusher. He could be a D-end, but he could be he could be a defensive tackle too. I like him at D-end in the 3-4. That's just me, but I think in the Falcons defense, he would be a defensive end in the 4-3. So maybe he can slide in, play next to Grady Jarrett. Very possible. Maybe too good to pass in the fans' eyes with this pick. And, how long is Vic Beasley going to be around for? Does he necessarily fit what they're trying to do? McKinley I like, so maybe the future is McKinley and Rashawn Gary. I like that. Redskins, you guys voted for Daniel Jones, quarterback Duke. Possible, but I don't really agree with it. I wouldn't like this pick, but again, possible. So if we're going to be live during the draft, this ends up being the pick, I'm going to give you my live breakdown, and you already know pretty much what I think. So, he'll be a solid pick in the second round possibly for me, but we'll see if he ends up going first. We know how teams value the quarterback. The Redskins do need a quarterback of the future, so he could learn behind Keenum. I guess solid guy to learn from. Keenum knows the game. Not necessarily the Pro Bowl talent quarterback, but he knows the game. Went to the NFC Championship 2 years ago. So the Redskins do have a pretty good roster too. So they do have some needs though. So that's why I don't really 100% agree with that. But they don't have glaring needs. So we'll see. Panthers go Clelin Ferrell, edge rusher Clemson. This pick makes sense. See this in a lot of mocks. My most recent mock, I believe I had this too. So that's a good one. Agree with that. The Giants go Cody Ford, offensive lineman Oklahoma. You don't see this one a lot, but I do like it. They need a right tackle, and some people are trying to move Cody Ford to right guard, which he could be very good there, but he dominated right tackle. He was the best offensive lineman on the best offensive line in the country. So the Giants need a right tackle, and you get a plug-and-play guy here at pick 17, so I like it. The Vikings go Andre Dillard, offensive lineman Washington State, plug-and-play left tackle for them. Makes some sense. Titans go Christian Wilkins. Yeah, if he's here, don't think the Titans pass on him, so I agree with you guys there. Devin Bush, same situation. If he's there, we don't expect them to pass on him. They could go greedy, though, who you guys gave the Seahawks the next pick. Seahawks could go greedy. They could go Byron Murphy. Makes sense. Ravens, you guys voted for N'Keal Harry, wide receiver from Arizona State, my receiver 1. I would like that pick. Maybe A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, a little more of a fit, but N'Keal Harry really can do it all, and he's my number 1 receiver for a reason, so I would like that pick very much. The Texans go Dalton Reisner. So all the offensive linemen you guys voted to come off the board earlier, so you guys know the importance of the offensive line. That's very good. I do think you could get some starters in the second, third round, though, but do you take that risk? But the Texans go Dalton Reisner. They need an offensive lineman. They could go corner as well. T.J. Hawkinson to the Raiders. So Hawkinson's still on the board. I kept putting him in the polls. You put 4 selections. I kept putting him in there. I couldn't believe you guys weren't voting for him for a lot of teams. And finally, way too good to pass on. This would be an A-plus pick from me here. T.J. Hawkinson to the Raiders. You replace Jared Cook just like that. That would be insane. So, but that's what you guys voted for. I don't know. I don't want to say it's not realistic at all. Maybe a little bit, but I just don't see him dropping that far. I really don't. But we'll see. It's the beauty of the NFL draft. You can't predict it. Next picks, you guys picked Josh Jacobs, running back from Alabama, to the Eagles, and this actually was right before the Jordan Howard trade. But I still think it's possible because Jordan Howard on a 1-year deal. Don't know what you're going to get from him. Really had an off year last year, but I think that was because the new Nagy, the new staff in Chicago, they changed things up. So Howard could be good, but Josh Jacobs could be the guy of the future for the Eagles. That would make sense. Two things could make this not possible. Because they traded for Jordan Howard, they would like him long term. But mostly, I don't know if the Eagles really value the running back position. I don't know if they take one in the first round. Maybe they trade up in the second round if they really want him. We will see. Colts, A.J. Brown. Yeah, I like Brown on the Colts. They can go multiple different receivers, and it's really not the wrong answer. But Brown, guy that can play in the slot, play outside, can run after the catch, maybe better than anybody in this draft class. Colts could definitely use a guy like that. Raiders go Byron Murphy. They need a corner. Maybe too good to pass at this point. I agree with that. Agree with Dexter Lawrence as well, the D-tackle from Clemson. Another spot where it's probably too good to pass and a need. Chargers don't have huge glaring needs besides a D-tackle guy. And there you go, Dexter Lawrence. Chiefs go DeAndre Baker. They're going to pretty much have to if he's there at this point. They need a corner or a pass rusher, but they're going to pretty much have to with Baker at this point. So I agree. The Packers get Noah Fant. TJ Hawkinson getting pushed way back, pushes Noah Fant back. The Packers don't need to use pick 12 on a tight end. They can use 30 on a tight end that's, changes their offense. Athletic freak at the tight end position can line up your traditional tight end, but the danger spot would be the slot tight end or off the ball. The Rams, Garrett Bradbury, which I like this pick a lot. I don't think he's going to be there. He's a huge riser, maybe my biggest riser on my board, and I think pretty much everybody's. He's starting to sneak way up in the first round now. So Sullivan was cut, so they can use him there at center, or they can use him at guard. They lost Saffold. So either way, it makes sense. It's a safe pick because if he's not going to be your starting center, he's going to be your starting guard. If he's not your starting guard, he's going to be your starting center. So, it's a great pick. The guy's dominant. And the Patriots take Irv Smith Jr., tight end Alabama. Was surprised by this one, even though it's a possibility because they need a tight end pretty badly. But I was surprised because I think you can wait to the second. Maybe they trade up a little bit in the second. And because you guys had Hawkinson fall big time, Fant fall, not big time, but a little bit, and then Irv Smith kind of rise up. A little weird, but that's how it turned out. I like it. Makes things interesting, but is he really the Gronk replacement? We will see. But then I had us vote for the 4 teams without a first-round pick, which is hard to do because we don't know who's on the board. So kind of like best-case scenario, but realistic, which guys were left, and these are who you voted for. The Browns, Rock Ya-Sin, corner from Temple. Had a couple corners in there, safety in there. I really like the Juan Thornhill fit. You guys went the Rock Ya-Sin routes. Very, very good corner at the line, very good at jamming. Physical corner, has some athleticism to him too. Pretty good technique. So the Browns need another corner. I do like their top 2 options though, Denzel Ward and TJ Carey, but you can always use more corners. You can move TJ Carey to the slot too if you wanted to. You can do multiple things here, so definitely could use another corner. I would like to pick, but out of the options I had, I did like Thornhill. The Cowboys go Jay Sternberger, tight end, Texas A&M. I figured you guys would pick either Sternberger or Dawson Knox. I really like Dawson Knox. The injury from last year kind of knocks him down a little bit, makes him and Sternberger very tight battle. But if Knox is healthy, I like him a little more. But Sternberger, the Cowboys shown interest in him. I think they'll like Gerald Willis too. I had him as an option, but you guys went with Jay Sternberger. The Saints go with Eric McCoy, center/guard from Texas A&M. Very interesting one. I put him in here for a reason. I actually didn't think you guys would vote for him, but the Saints signed Nick Easton from the Vikings to play their center spots, and that's really what they needed, a center. I'm not a fan of Nick Easton at center. They paid him a good amount of money, so you'd imagine he would start. I do like Nick Easton at guard. He was hurt last year, though, so that's a concern, too. To recap that, I like him at guard, not so much at center at his time, but it has been a few years. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Maybe he's gotten better. But McCoy could be an upgrade, but do you pay Easton all that money to sit him on the bench? Can you use him at guard? I think they're pretty solid at guard and tackle. So interesting, but I think the fans, you guys, kind of agree that they can get better at that position. Maybe it's a little safer. So kind of like that you guys did that. Very interesting. And the Bears, Chase Winovich, edge rusher from Michigan. He could be off the board before this, but it's possible he's here because of the recent injury. But, recent injury, but he's good to go, and he's a little bit undersized, but he gets the job done at a high level. Smart player, high motor player. So, and the Bears have Khalil Mack, Leonard Floyd. They definitely need more rotation. Leonard Floyd, a little bit off year, but I still view him as a starter. A couple running back options here. I'm surprised you didn't go with one of them. Bears mock came out earlier today. I went with the running back option with this 88th pick, and I have a strong belief why that's the style running back they should go with. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. And then there's our Twitter at Goathouse NFL where we did the polls for this, and I'm gonna have more polls about the draft coming out. I want to see your guys' perspective on things. Who's the top quarterback? Give you options, running back. All those different position groups, stuff like that. Anything we can think of that's fun for us to do. It'll be on the Twitter, updates on the Twitter as well, and we'll be live on our channel, right here on our channel during the draft. Can't wait for that. Plenty more mock drafts to get to, different types, predict the pick, some with trades, some without, trade scenario videos, all kinds of stuff before the draft starts and during the draft, so, and even after about the draft. So grading picks, all kinds of fun stuff. So thanks for voting. Can't wait to get to that draft. Best day of the year. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.